You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today, we've got a great episode on our Friday review. Every Friday, I bring you my top picks from the week. I go over a lot of things that people have been asking about for recommendations. And if you haven't checked out the CabralSupportGroup.com, so just go to CabralSupportGroup.com. It is a Facebook group. It is a private group, and it's for anyone who's using kind of any of our protocols or been on the Dr. Ball Detox or using Dr. Ball Detox, but also really I'm opening it up to all of our listeners. So please do feel free to go to CabralSupportGroup.com, and you're going to check out, like this past week, we had a bunch of recommendations where someone asked, what's the best natural deodorant I should use? And so everyone kind of chimed in, gave their recommendations. A lot of great things happened over there. And again, that's where a lot of the topics for the Friday review come from as well. But today's a little different. I usually don't blast people on the Cabral concept, but today's an exception. And here's why. So I was watching this documentary, and there's a doctor that I do respect. I think he's very intelligent. He has a good nutrition diet book out there right now. Not my favorite. It's a little heavy on grains. But, for the most part, what he says is pretty good, pretty accurate. The problem is he started talking about things that are just way outside of his scope of medicine. He's a medical doctor, smart guy, no doubt about it, knows about nutrition. He started talking about nutritional supplements way outside of what he talks about, in his books and those types of things. And the truth is, he was pushing an agenda, and I don't like that. I really don't. I really believe that people with influence should be very ethical. They should tell things as truthfully as they can, even if it goes against their current dogma. So he's very dogmatic. You might know who I'm talking about. It's an older doctor. I'm not going to say his name. Again, very intelligent, great books, great research. However, he pushes a certain agenda, and his agenda does not include any nutritional supplements, which is totally fine. But what you can't do is actually lie. That's where I draw the line, because what happens is you are now influencing people who believe that you're telling them the truth, and you're not. So here's what he did. Now, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm calling him out right now, and I hope that other doctors and other health practitioners are not doing this as well. Meaning, like, if you're vegan, great, but don't just push only things that back up the vegan agenda. If you're paleo and you love animal protein, great, that's fine. But don't push that there isn't so many benefits to vegan-based nutrition as well. And if you're anti-supplement, fine. But don't say, like this doctor did, that there's no benefits to certain vitamins. And so that's what we're going to talk about right now. And I won't make it long, just quick little rants. So basically he said he's against nutritional supplements, but he's like, okay, maybe some vitamin B12. Okay, maybe some of this, So it's like he is okay with some, but not with others. Well, he blasts vitamin D. And the issue, I have a huge issue with this because vitamin D right now has been scientifically proven through thousands of studies to benefit humans. And here's why. Humans are not getting vitamin D from their foods. They're getting vitamin D from the sun. But we don't all live near the equator, right? The majority of the world is not living near the equator, which means like in the United States alone, if you're above that 37th degree latitude, above the Atlanta-Georgia line basically, and I live in Boston, right? You're not getting enough vitamin D October through May unless you're supplementing. What's the problem with that? Well, the problem is this, that you're a greater chance for cancer, that's one. You're at a greater chance for diabetes, asthma, depression, any mood-based disorders, seasonal affective disorder. You're at more of a chance for fibromyalgia, heart disease, MS, multiple sclerosis, hypertension. Like these are serious things that can be dramatically improved with just a little natural vitamin D3, not vitamin D2, but natural vitamin D3. D2 is what they put as the very cheap form in like different types of synthetic foods when they fortify them. And that's why using a simple vitamin D3 is amazing, because it will help better regulate blood sugar, better for overall bone health, better for cardiovascular, pulmonary function. It will help you lose weight to a better degree. It will help balance your immune system and your immune cells, those immunoglobulins, and it also improves your overall bones and dental health. So for him to cherry pick 2 studies, and I'm going to go into it right now, because again, I always want to share with you the truth, and that's my whole thing. I have no agenda. I absolutely do not. I have no loyalty to anyone at all except the truth and all of my listeners. So here's what he said. 2 large randomized controlled trials, this is right on his website, have been shown an increased risk of fractures with an annual high dose of vitamin D. So basically saying that people actually increase their chance of bone fractures by taking vitamin D. Now here's where it gets interesting. First, only 2 studies he gave. In the British studies, 10,000 community participants aged 75 to 100 years old were randomly given 300,000 IUs of vitamin D2. Okay. This is the issue. The issue is, 1, they were given synthetic vitamin D. Vitamin D2 comes from things like rubber tires. Like literally, this is a synthetic vitamin. It's insane that he would quote the study. And they were given 300,000 international units. The typical dosage is 1,000 to 5,000 IUs per day for the average person taking vitamin D3, 1,000 a day, 300,000 units at once. Now, if he understood the science, if he understood how supplements work, if he understood how vitamin D worked, he would understand, he would know that vitamin D is a calcium retentive vitamin. That means when you take vitamin D at a high level, it will pull calcium from your bones. Right? Let me just repeat that. If you take vitamin D at a ridiculous level of 300,000 IUs, or even the 10,000, 50,000 units, which you don't need, that will draw calcium into your bloodstream. Okay? The second study, 2,256 people in Australia, ages 70 to 92, were given an annual oral dose of 500,000 IUs of vitamin D. Increased fracture rate or falls of 15%, 26% increase in fracture rates. Completely insane. Giving someone 500,000 units. So this is the issue. All right, I'm going to end it here, but here's the issue. When you take supplements from a functional medicine perspective, they do wonders for the human body. Wonders. I mean, I wouldn't be here today without them, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. The second is, when you put it in the hands of conventional medicine, they turn it into a drug. They give insane, ridiculous amounts of it, like 300,000 IUs or 500,000 units at a time. That makes zero sense. And of course, it's going to lead to bone fractures because these researchers and these doctors don't understand nutritional supplements, and they don't understand what happens when you give this larger dose. They don't understand that vitamin D is actually calcium retentive. If they knew that, they would know that's why the increases in fracture happen. When you do it at a low dose, it's helpful. When you do it at a high dose, it's harmful. Just like most things, right? You can overdo anything, anything, too much water. So next thing, this doctor might actually be not recommending water, right? Because if you drink 2 gallons of water, distilled water, no vitamins, no sodium, no anything, you could die. You absolutely could die, right? So should we not recommend water? No. We should probably just be smart about it, right? That's the whole thing. That's my whole thing with vitamins. And so I apologize for my little rant today. But honestly, you have to just understand your source. My recommendation, honestly, is trust no one, really. Make sure you're getting a qualified source. Make sure the person knows what they're talking about. Think about it. Does it make sense? Does ever a large dose of anything ever make sense? The answer is pretty much no. How would the human body possibly be able to deal with that? It can't. It can't do it, and that's what the issue is. And I brought this up today too because, again, I'm not selling vitamin D. I'm not promoting it, although I am promoting it because you need to be using it during the winter. But I'm actually giving it away free this month. That's how really important it is for people. And so anyway, I had to say that because it's in the news, it's harmful, and it's deplorable to cherry pick a couple studies, especially using synthetic vitamin D. Okay, now moving on to a happier Stephen Cabral. So let's go into this next app I just found. It's kind of fun, and it's along the vitamin D timeline, or along the vitamin D lines. It's called D-Minder, and it is an app that you can actually just download for your iPad or for your iPhone, your other smartphone. It's for the Google Android, and it is for the iPhone. And it will actually show you time outside, ability to actually absorb vitamin D that day is pretty interesting because the average person needs about, like I said, 5,000 units, about 35 IUs per pound of body weight. And when you can get that much, well, then your vitamin D levels are good. Now, here's the other thing. So I'm going to link up the note for this thing. It's called literally the letter D Minder. And then you can just type that into Google and you'll be able to find it. But just go to the show notes page. Like literally every show notes page is going to be loaded with all the links to help you out. And today is just going to stevencabral.com/335. Just go to that. I'll link it up. The other thing, and I'll link up the free vitamin D as well that you can get too. But the other thing that I want to say about this is if you're unsure about your levels, you simply test. You just go, literally, you can purchase a vitamin D lab. You can maybe get your PCP to run it or functional medicine doctor to run it. If not, we do have it available to you at the Stephen Cabral store. And you can actually find out if you're optimal. Optimal is not 30 to 100, which is a huge range. Optimal is 50 to 70 nanograms per milliliter. And if that's what it says in your blood work, you're doing great. If it's lower than that, well, you give yourself a little bit more vitamin D. And if it's above that, you drop your vitamin D down a little bit. Again, functional medicine has these answers. I'm telling you, when you combine the best of the old, like Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine, all these things with state-of-the-art functional medicine, you will get well. You really will. I see it every day in my practice. I would not share things with you that I don't see work. I really wouldn't, because my name is really all that I have. I would not do things like I just talked about with other doctor, only the truth. And I have no agenda, and I don't even recommend one particular diet. I recommend a more personalized approach that just is more plant-based. All right, moving on. Next up, I want to bring you a great product that I use myself, that I always have in my own little natural medicine chest. And hopefully next Friday review, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get it up. We already have the adult and we have the children immune-based protocols right on the stevencabral.com/store. Like you can check those out. It's exactly what I use in my own home, exactly what I recommend family, friends, and obviously everyone that I see at the Cabral Wellness Institute in Boston. But I don't have the ear, nose, and throat protocol up there. It's just a little bit more. So the nasal spray, though, is part of that. Hopefully I'll have the whole protocol next Friday. So definitely tune in for that. But the nasal spray is by a company called Nutrabiotics. They're an amazing company. And their main thing is they use something called grapefruit seed extract. Grapefruit seed extract is a natural antibiotic. It works amazingly well. I brought that one particular thing with me when I traveled to India. I'm telling you, it came in handy. I needed that on the plane, the flight's over. And also this thing called the GFE, or the GSE, I should say, nasal spray. I don't use the plus. I just use the regular version. I do 2 to 3 sprays in each nostril if I feel any nasal congestion coming on. And after I do the 2 to 3 sprays in each nostril, I lean my head forward, and I basically, as I'm leaning over head between the knees, and I allow the nasal spray, the grapefruit seed extract, to go up into my sinuses. And so I allow it to kill the bacteria that's festering in there. So it works amazingly well. Other things that work great are thyme and colloidal silver, but right now I want to bring you one, and this is one that I use, and it works amazingly well. So I really like that. I do it twice a day. Really tough congestion, I would do it 3 times per day. Like I said, it's a great thing to have on hand. So I'll link that up as well in the show notes, but simply very inexpensive. You could just look at the company's called Nutrabiotic, and it's just called nasal spray. That's it. Very, very simple. On the box, it will say grapefruit seed extract. Amazing, amazing stuff. All right, our last review of the day is a fantastic product, and I want to tell you a little bit about how I found this. Okay, so I've been doing a lot of research lately. So I'm just finishing up. I'm in the editing stage of my book, which will be coming out late this spring. And just to talk a little bit about, obviously, it has to do with how can we get well and live a healthy life as humans, but it goes much, much deeper. The topic that will be coming out in this book has not been talked about. It's not talked about unless you are a toxicologist, a functional medicine doctor, or a naturopathic doctor. These things are taught in seminars. It's just not available to the general public. So my job is why create another diet book, right? I mean, there's so many out there. What we need is more of this education that people aren't seeing. So anyway, the more details on that in the future, but one I've been using really, because I want to give a lot of great recommendations to people in this book. So just really usable things. Well, I'm spending a lot of time on a website called EWG.org. And EWG.org, basically what their job is to look at the safety and health of humans. So what they do is they actually review all sorts of different products. So we're talking about shampoos, moisturizers, soaps, any of these things. And they give you a rating for that product from 1 to like 10 plus, 1 being the absolute best. And the higher you go, the worse it is. And they show you each product and the ingredients in it and what those concerns might be. I'm telling you, amazing website. I've actually donated to them just to make sure that they just keep up the great work. I believe they are a total nonprofit. They don't recommend anything. Like, they are not there to make money. Amazing organization. Really, we need more of these types of things to keep people healthy and safe. So what I want to do is just share with you a product that is a body wash and a shampoo, and it's just an overall great line. This is one of their top recommended products, okay? It's a company called Baja Baby, B-A-J-A, and I believe they have a whole line. So it's not just for babies or just for kids, although obviously it's great for that. But their product came up literally as a 1, like straight across the board. Pretty amazing. Now, there's other great products, don't get me wrong, but what I wanted to do was just make you aware of this website called ewg.org. And the other thing is, too, is I wanted just to give you a great product, because people are asking me so many products, what are you using yourself? What are you using for your kids? What are you using in your wellness practice? So for me, I can say, well, here's what I'm using. But, if you want to try something a little bit different, like this has a lavender scent, like one's unscented, you could try things for yourself as well that might work. And one of the things you can do is you can simply go to this website, type in the product that you're currently using, and see how it stacks up. Right now, they say they have 64,701 products indexed. 701 products indexed. I find that remarkable. So anyway, just wanted to make you aware of that. And in the future, if there's anything that you want to see reviewed on a Friday review in the Cabral Concept, please let me know. One of my favorite shows. I love them all, right? But definitely love bringing you all these different topics and tips. And tomorrow, I look forward to giving you even more insight when we answer all of our community questions. So definitely come back, tune into that show as well. Have a great weekend coming up, and I really do hope that you've had a great start to your new year, and I'm looking forward to keeping that going next week. Take care, everyone.
Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing, and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or a lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.